What's up, YouTube? In this episode, we're going to be going over the engine that I purchased for the 240SX. I want to do a JDM swap on that car, and I don't really want to do the standard SR that everyone's usually going for. SRs are awesome engines. I've got nothing against them, but particularly for my build, I've been craving something a little bit different. I really want an inline six, and I didn't want to spend big JZ swap money. And realistically, I don't really have the funds for an RB26, an RB25 even, to do a full RB25 swap, which is going to cost me an extra probably $1,500 to $1,800. So although the RB20 is the baby of the family, it is still a good, reliable engine. Having that very low displacement at 2 liters, 6 cylinders on an inline 6, these things like to buzz up really good. And that factored with the reduced cost of, not spending the money even on an RB25 and going with an RB20, I'll be able to spend that extra bit of money that I need to actually get the engine into the car. So this is the engine that I purchased. If you've noticed, they've written the mileage on there at 83,000 kilometers. That's basically 50,000 miles. Relatively low mileage engine, considering it's a 30-year-old engine. This is out of an 89 Skyline GTS, a very old engine. Now I've got a good feeling this engine may have come out of like a 1-owner car or a 2-owner car, certainly sourced from Japan, and I located it in Montreal, so I had this shipped across Canada to me. It looks to me that they power washed it at some point, because the thing's pretty spotless everywhere. I mean, there's some dried oil residue down here, but I mean the block has very little to no rust on it at all. The head is very, very clean. Even the accessories in the front. Now I was starting to think that someone probably did paint this cover red at some point. And it's taken a strike here. I don't know if that happened in shipping or, maybe a long time ago while the engine was still in the car, who knows. There's another little ding here and here. But that's just all surface stuff. And I don't really care about that stuff. It's more about, does this thing knock? I don't know. So apart from being very, very clean, it appears that someone took good care of it. I mean, these are some type of performance accessory belts that are on here. So I'm expecting a high quality timing belt in behind here, but I haven't removed the cover yet, and we're probably going to pop the cover off to see what belt is in there. I don't know if this came with the ceramic turbo or it's got the ceramic turbo upgrade, but the turbo feels really good. Like, it's got 0 side-to-side shaft play, but it's got about a millimeter in and out, and it spins really good. And from what I've read, sometimes the exhaust impeller breaks off, and it gets left in the exhaust. So that's something I'm going to probably want to put my camera up the down pipe just to see what's in there. Make sure that there is a turbine sitting there. There's also an indicator that this came out of a car that was in an accident. Really good indicator is right here, this fan blade. So that indicates the shroud kind of got pushed up into the fan blade, and the car was still running for quite a while, and it actually left a burn mark on the end of the fan blade just from rubbing on the plastic shroud. That would be my first guess. It's a common tell. And I may or may not have mentioned, but this is a complete swap. This is the motor, the 5-speed transmission is tucked in here on the side, complete harness, and the ECU. I did ask them if it had all the coils. They said that it does have all the coils in it. Igniter. The one thing that I can tell that is missing, that I verified with them before buying it, was there is no mass airflow sensor. So it got left with the car, obviously. And I'm going to have to figure out the wiring and get a connector and a mass airflow sensor. Now, a common upgrade for doing bigger boost applications is to actually use a Z32 mass airflow sensor or the 300ZX twin turbo mass airflow sensor. It allows for a larger scale when tuning, so that's something I gotta think about in the future, because this thing is going to be going in as is stock. And then after it sits in the car for a little while, and I know that everything's working good and it's going to be reliable, I found a solder-in prom can probably push an extra 70-75 horsepower to the engine, and then the thoughts about, you know, possibly even just using a manual boost controller just to gain a couple pounds. But one thing is for sure, I know it's going to work a lot better than the KA that's in the car, and it's going to sound so much better. Coming across on this side, I mean, again, you can see how clean the block is. I mean, that's all just fresh paint, really. There's a bolt missing there. Looking very clean. At least they left me all the connections on the starter and alternator. I've just got to kind of attach to them here. Maybe I'll run some new wiring, who knows. Heater hose is cut off. Starter is there. And from what I can tell, it's got a really decent clutch in it. It looks not very old. And then when I kind of got looking down through here, maybe it was down through here, maybe it was over here. There you can see this does have a Nismo disc in it, so I like finding goodies like that. Who knows what else we'll find. But even the inside of the trans throat bearing's really nice. There's still actual grease on the shaft here a little bit. Everything's moving really good. The bonus about having this transmission and getting it with this bell housing is, in the case that this one is to break and I need to actually pull out the old KA trans, I can bolt on the RB bell housing onto the KA transmission and get a little bit different sized drive shaft and actually reuse the KA transmission if I have to. So now that we've had a little bit of a look at it, I want to pop this timing cover off and at least get an idea if the timing belt's been done. 83,000 kilometers, you'd be coming due for a timing belt soon, but 30-year-old engine, someone must have done this timing belt, no? So I managed to get to this point. All you gotta do is take off that cam angle sensor and 2 bolts up top, 3 small ones on the bottom. I don't know, a bunch of bolts. You can see a little bit of rust buildup on here. That's just from them washing it and leaving it lie around for a while. But we certainly got a performance belt on here. And I can't really get a name off of it. There's something written over here. Let's see, there's something a little bit further down, but I could tell it's a good performance belt. It's a little dry, it's a little glazed, but I would certainly risk running it to begin with, at least to make sure I've got a good running engine. Probably in the car it won't be as nice to change, so there's a debate whether I'll do it now, but I'm pretty sure I'm just going to put this engine in the car, make sure it's running good, and then when I want to put a little bit more money into it next year maybe, and do the couple little upgrades, then I would probably do the belt at that time. You never know, the cylinder head might have to come off this thing at some point, right? So don't say that. No, but really looking at all the maintenance items that they put on there and just the high quality items that they used, someone took good care of it, and they probably didn't, you know, really abuse the thing very badly. And it really seems to be that someone just put a whole pile of parts on this before it got pulled from the car, but they've been on there for quite some time. And you know, I don't think that the timing belt's going to snap on me, but it's something I'm going to have to keep in mind. It's not something I can probably use forever. So next I want to see if I can get my my little scope to go up the downpipe and see if I can get to the back side of the turbo and see that turbine turn. Shouldn't be too difficult. Now this might be very difficult for me to do, may be very difficult for the camera to actually see. If the camera is going to be able to pick up the screen or not. maybe right there. And then I gotta try and reach down here. There, I know you could see it because I could see it. So first initial looks, everything looks really good. They already sent me the compression video, which I put on the last auto vlog. So the compression numbers are pretty much 150 or 145 going across. So really the next step for this thing is to actually run it. Because I've got 30 days from the delivery date to actually know if I've got a good running engine so I can send it back for warranty or not. Everything looks good so far, but you know, it's best to run something, because if you don't, you could actually get it into the car, run it, and it'll have noise, and then you'd be pretty upset at that point. I don't want that happening to me, so I was thinking I'm getting really close to 1K subscribers, and I would absolutely love it to have this engine running on the pallet for my 1K video. That's the plan, but I need your guys' help to get to 1K. We're getting so close now, and I think it would be an awesome video. I've run an engine on a stand before, but I've never gone through the wiring and hooked one up to basically a battery to get it to turn over and start. It'll be interesting, and that way I'll be 100% confident about putting it in the car, and you know, not risk losing my money for something stupid. Even though I think the company would probably take care of me, you never know. They're all the way at the other side of the country. So I've already gone ahead and ordered a bunch of stuff for this thing. Soon, the day that it arrived, the next night I started ordering parts. So I have an entire the swap bracket kit for getting an RB into an S13 chassis. I've got that ordered. I ordered new solid engine mounts. Actually, it's an engine mounts and a transmission mount. You order them for the KA, and they bolt to the conversion brackets, so you don't use the RB mounts. So I went with solid mounts for the KA. I also found a catless downpipe that I think will work. Not sure exactly. I think it's ordered for an RB, but I can't remember for sure. I'm waiting to hear back from a seller on an SR exhaust that they have for sale. But I just want to make sure it comes with all the gaskets and hardware, because you know, you got to go get that stuff, and there's another 20-30 bucks, right? So I think that I should be able to modify the RB exhaust directly into an SR exhaust, and that'll mount onto the car and probably sound absolutely awesome. I've been holding off on the intercooler stuff. I've been doing a little bit more research and reading. I thought initially I would get the polished intake that had the throttle body repositioned in the front, and that I would look for some type of SR intercooler setup. But after seeing this pipe on and how other people have routed their setups, I kind of wonder, well, maybe I'll just custom make my own, and I might be able to get it done a lot cheaper. I've also got to figure out the power steering, because this, I looked at it for a while and I'm like, it's got two pressure ports. When's the return? No, the return's down here. And then I realized this is for HICUS, so obviously two pressure ports coming out of the power steering pump. And I suppose, you know, if I get the proper lines or made up or whatever, I could probably even cap one of these off and then reuse the other port. And if that doesn't work, maybe take the pump off the KA and fit it to this bracket somehow, or I gotta kind of figure out what other people have done and do it myself. And it's kind of nice. RB swaps into S chassis is rather common. There's, you know, tons and tons of information out of there. The RB20 is not as common, obviously. It's, you know, it doesn't put out the power of the big boys, but I guess this is a common swap from older Skylines in Japan. They'll pull an RB20 to drop an SR in. So you might actually be wondering, what does an RB20 put out for power for stock? Well, I'm pretty sure the, you know, crank flywheel horsepower is like 210, and I think it's only like maybe 200 foot-pounds of torque. So you can do a lot more with just this stock block. The numbers can pretty much double if you really work on it properly and do all the proper modifications. Sometime about a year and a half ago, when I started looking for swapping an RB20 into an S chassis, or what it sounded like, what it looked like, I found the YouTube channel Calvin Molly, and it's since become Calvin's Garage. Calvin does amazing work to his vehicles. He's very particular with what he's doing, and everything is very cleanly done. I appreciate someone that can take the time to do that. In most cases, I can't take the time to do that stuff myself, or don't have the ambition to do something like that, especially because some of my cars are old and crusty. So in any case, when I saw that, the little things that he was doing to perfect that car, I realized that I wanted to chase that a little bit. Not that I'll be comparing my car to his in any way, but you do a couple little modifications, a lot larger turbo, and I believe he dynoed his car after tuning at 430 wheel horsepower. That number is not something that I need for my car. I like the idea of having a much more reliable setup, and if this thing kicks out even close to 300, I'll be plenty happy, I'm sure. So that's a little taste of the RB. I've been talking about this thing for probably a year. Finally, I've been holding on to the money over the winter, and I realized that Tyler's car was going to be in here for quite some time. And even though it's got a nice snug little spot here in the corner, and I could actually get it over a few more inches, I mean, it's really close to the car, and I could pull this car out right now. But to have a much larger car in here, I mean, you can see how much of it's a big engine. I didn't realize that, even sitting on a pallet, how large it would actually be. But I tell you one thing, I'm glad to have it here, and I think it's going to be a worthwhile purchase. I think it's going to be something that's going to fill my craving a little bit, and I can't wait to jump into it and get started. It's going to be a little while from now, so hold on. If you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button for me. Leave your questions and comments further down below, and I'll see you in the next one.